too much of a good thing is never a good thing.
That's just always how it works. You can't have triumph without suffering. Like, you can't have happiness without sad. Like, your body works in the same way. And I know that we just want to think that we're just going to we hone in on some things that might just be beneficial, and we're going to pump our bodies with them, and then we will be more beneficial. And it's just, that's not how it works. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Thick Thighs Save Lives podcast. I'm Kelsey.
Hi, guys. I'm Rachel. Welcome back. We've got another great week for you with all your burning questions.
Yeah, so we posted in our group, our Facebook group, Fitness Programming by CVG. If you're not in there, what are you even doing? And in our app, to get some questions from you guys to answer on the podcast. And we got some really great questions. I'm excited to answer some of these. Some of them I want you guys to know we're going to make whole episodes on, because they were some really great questions and a lot of people wanted to know about them, and I think they take some time to talk about. So today we're going to try to rapid fire a few questions, but some of your questions are going to be their whole ass episode.
Whole ass episode. So a lot of questions about body dysmorphia, and we were like,
we were like, yeah, we're like, we can't cover that even
a month, a year, a lifetime. So we're going to be here a while.
We're going to be here for a while. Like, they're super great questions, and definitely one that needs a deep dive and continuing discussion. And we will continue to talk about it, because body dysmorphia is something that affects almost every woman on the planet. So many women, and just affects us in our daily lives. And I really, really want to talk about it with you guys, but I think it does need its own episode.
Yeah, and there were a couple questions like that. It wasn't just that one. There was a couple questions I was like, wait, girl, how much time you have? Yeah. So we want to break those out. But I wanted to tell you a story before we got to the questions, because I don't know, this is just like a thing that's been on my mind. I can't get it out, because it, like, I saw her, it made me cry, and I was like, this is just it. So, okay, so you know the woods question, right? That's like gone
for anyone that doesn't
viral.
know, let's just throw it out there.
So the viral question right now, I think it started on TikTok and now it's just basically everywhere, is asking people in different forms. I think the very first one was asking a dad if he would rather his daughter be alone in the woods with a man or a bear. And this is now taken off into all multiple different forms of this question. But basically, the gist is that, would you rather, as a woman, would you rather be in the woods with a super known to be dangerous animal that could rip you apart, or a man? And
another super dangerous mammal who has been known to rip you apart. Anyone who's listened to murder podcasts is like, I wasn't sure which one she was going to say. Was it the hairy one or the less hairy one?
Less hairy, more back hair, and like less on the face. So, okay. So here's the thing, because there's been a ton of reaction in both camps for this, of, you know, of course, men being super offended, and saying things like, you
take
know,
that energy into the rest of your life. You know what I'd love you to be offended about? Every time you hear a story about a woman being attacked, I want you to be that offended. You want to bring that energy? Keep bringing it. Love it.
Keep bringing it, because we could use that kind of energy for all of the things in the world that are just not fair. Mm-hmm. And, you know, so, you know, not all men, and, you know, okay.
Not all bears.
So, not all bears. Only the mamas with cubs, really. That's like the people were like,
percentage-wise, definitely.
Ironically, it's actually the mama bears who are much more likely to rip you to shreds. But like, here's the thing. There's been all of this. This is causing all these feelings in people, right? Men, women, like, then women are fighting amongst each other about like their big feelings on this, like, you know. Um, but I saw this video and it was this guy hiker and he said,
Oh, I did
I
see that.
heard about, did you see it?
Yeah.
He goes, I heard about, the man or the bear, and I hike a lot in the woods, and I just have one question. And I was like, oh boy, here we go.
Yeah.
And he said, my question is, what can I do to make you feel more safe?
Yeah.
Do I pass you?
Yeah.
Do I let
They
you
just
know
some
that
of
I'm
them just
coming up
want to
behind
know.
you? He said, like,
Yeah.
what are the things, like, what pace should I walk at? How far away should I be? What kinds of, should I acknowledge you? Should I not acknowledge you? Like, what kinds of things can I do as a male hiker to make you feel more safe as a woman hiker? And I just broke down crying when I saw this video because I was just like, oh my God, it's finally someone who gets it. Because if your first reaction to
Yeah.
someone saying, you make me feel unsafe, if your first reaction to that is, well, then you're an idiot,
Yeah. You must be
then you need
lying.
to, you're a liar. Like, you need to question your humanity if when someone else tells you that your general nature makes them feel unsafe, if your reaction isn't, well, wait a minute, that's not what I want. So what can I do to not have that happen? And the women just flooded the comments with all of these really super helpful things. If you're coming up behind me, you can announce, hey, just pass it on your right. If you are wanting to make conversation, don't ask me where the rest of my group is. Makes me feel very uncomfortable. Don't ask me where I'm hiking to. That makes me feel very uncomfortable. Like, the women hikers just came out with all of the things. Please
They
don't walk.
imagine that they have answers.
If you ask
If
them,
you
they
just
will
ask.
tell you. And it's like, hey, don't, 4 miles, don't follow within like 20, 30, 40 feet behind me. If you want to pass me, please just pass me and tell me, but I would rather you're in front of me than behind me. Like, they said all of these really poignant things that are like, you can do these things and make women feel a lot safer, and they're really easy to do. And the whole thing just warmed my heart. And I just wanted to say to all the women out there who hike alone, who go, who walk alone, who run alone, we know that these things are scary, can be scary, but we also know that they enhance our lives so much and they bring us so much joy that it almost feels like a crime to not do them out of fear, right? So we continue to do them. And I just want to say, one, how brave you are, and two, that there are a ton of men out there who want to make you feel safe while doing these things. And I think the more vocal we can be about the fact that, all right, we're not just choosing the bear. That's just a euphemism for the whole ass theme
Mm.
of, you make me feel unsafe, but maybe we can move next to, here's how
And
you can make me feel more safe.
the whole last theme of the amount of violence against women is unacceptable, and it's overall unacceptable in our society, and every man should be as equally outraged about the fact that women are choosing a bear over a man, as like outraged, not because the women said it, but because wow, like we live in a society where women feel so unsafe that they would rather choose this animal, different type of animal, as animal, rather than. But also, I definitely agree with you that there is so much that comes from that self reflection and just being like, uh, I'm going to go about this in a curious way, in a way that I could ask more questions in order to actually solve a problem. And there's not enough of that going around, where like there's just a pause for an evaluation and a thought of like, what maybe could I do differently? And maybe I want to find out more about this. Like, what is it? What makes you feel unsafe? How am I contributing to that? And how can I do it differently? Like,
That's so, oh
nice.
man. And that's on all sides of humanity.
Yeah.
More stopping to question and be
Curiosity. Yeah.
curious about a potential issue, and less defensiveness on all of the reasons why you're not part of that issue,
Yeah.
why it's not your fault. No one
Mm,
was actually pointing any fingers and
mm.
saying anything about whose fault it was, but we can all collectively come together and identify an issue and say, like, let's think curiously about what we could do to make this issue less. And
Mm-hmm.
I just, that guy was just like,
I know, he was so cute. He was like, so here's the thing, like, he's like, I'm a slow hiker. I'm not gonna pass you. So like, he was like,
he's
what
like,
can
I'm
I?
just really slow, but I know you don't want to walk, like, I don't want to walk behind you for a while because I know that's making you feel nervous. So should I
Yeah.
like whistle back there? What should I do? So
I
cute.
know, it was so cute. I'm glad you brought that up. That was a really nice twist to that video. I'm sure we could find it and link it for those who haven't seen it, because both sides of that were really nice and really helpful.
What a good bear that one was. Okay, so getting into some of your questions, like we said, we had a ton. One of the most liked and asked was actually about foam rolling, but we ended up feeling as if that was one to show you rather than to tell you. So we've got like some really great ways to get more information about all of your topics out there. But some of them are going to come in different forms. So look out for a foam rolling video. But our first question came from our app, and it's from Jackie Stack 81. I feel like it's like MySpace days. Remember?
I know,
Do
I
you know what
know.
your MySpace name was?
I was trying to think of that because, well, I was trying to think of my instant
Oh,
messenger
Instant
name,
Messenger.
because that was recently asked in one of our lives, and I was like, what was mine? And I think it was like strawberry something, because I just was like, I like strawberries. Like, everyone had these like babe 92, and I was like, I like strawberries.
Hot Shorty 37.
I'm just like such a weirdo. Like, I've always been this weird.
I don't remember. I don't remember what mine was. I
Just
think it was
out
something
of
with my
touch.
name though, because I was just like also very boring. I think it was like Rachy.
Yeah.
Rachy VB, probably. Like
Rachy Phoebe.
something like, absolutely ridiculous. Anyways, Jackie Stacks 81. Was that your MySpace name? Did you just bring it over to our app?
Honestly, no, that's a cool name.
I
Jackie
know.
Stack.
Jackie
Yeah.
Stack.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's her like real. I hope
Last
so
name?
for her. Yeah.
Yeah. Such a cool name.
Yeah. That just like flows as
You
one.
did it.
I would never introduce myself as Jackie. I'd be like, I'm Jackie Stack.
I don't know why both of you and I felt like we need to kind of like add a little whisper to it.
Why did we do that?
Jackie Stack.
Jackie Stack. It's like breathy. It's very breathy.
It's very breathy.
I love this for her.
I promise
She's
we're
gonna
not
become
going to spend
famous.
this much time on everyone's name.
She's gonna become famous in the app. Everybody's gonna be like tagging her. Jackie Stack. All right. Her question was actually very simple. BCAAs, yes or no? Are we doing BCAAs?
You know what? We took a really simple question. We made it really complicated.
No, I did. That's not what you do. You do a good job of being like, it's a simple thing and I'm going to be simple. Like, I do a very good job of overcomplicating things. But I will say that I did some literally eye-opening research. Like, I was looking at the computer, my eyes were like getting so wide over some of the research on BCAAs that I am super glad that I deep dived into it. And I will try not to bore you with all the details, but there's been some really like very interesting findings that we want to share with you today on BCAAs, because they're a very common supplement and a lot of women in fitness are taking them. So
Yes. Let's talk about it. Let me just pause on if you are saying like, are they saying BCA? If you don't know what BCAAs are, no, you're not stupid. No, it's totally fine. It stands for branched chain amino acids, and there's about 20 different amino acids that make up thousands of different proteins in the human body. So typically how branched chain amino acids are used from a fitness perspective, is a lot of people use BCAAs to obviously supplement some of their nutritional needs anyway, but they think about it as more like hydration, getting more protein, increase muscle growth, decrease soreness is what a lot of people are looking to get out of BCA. So we're going to talk about some of the benefits, but we're also going to talk about, what these amino acids are already doing in your body and what an additional, what some of the BCAAs are out there and how might those affect um, your chemistry essentially already.
Right, because we know that, you know, amino acids are extremely essential, right? We have, you know,
We pick out
the
these things because
ability,
they are
right? We
essential. Like we
right,
pick out proteins because it's essential. We pick out BCAAs because we're like, oh, this is essential, and then we look to put it on steroids.
and sometimes that's not, we're like, this is a good thing. Let's do way too much of this good thing. And
Yeah,
then and then eventually it gets turned into a bad thing, right? Because like, I mean, we do this, humans do this with everything. We
Americans.
all, Americans especially. So, 9 out of the 20 different amino acids are considered essential, right? And they can't be made by your body. They have to be obtained through your diet. And I think that that's one of the things that has kind of put these on steroids, is because like you need to be taking these in order to have this benefit, because you can't naturally make it on your own. And so whenever we find something like that, we're like, put as much of it in a drink as possible. And
I just want I just want to I just want to say sometimes when we hear something like our bodies can't make this on our own, it it immediately goes to, well, we have to supplement it. That's not that. I just want to make it very clear, because you could, there are a lot of things you can't make on your own within your body, but is essential for your body's basic nutritional needs. But that's why you have to eat. That's why we have nutrition, and that's why we have to take in, so much of these key supplements essentially, that can be acquired through supplementation, but are primarily from the foods that we're consuming.
I'm still out there hoping that someone will solve this problem
Yeah.
of continuously having to eat, because I'm sick of it. I
I
feel like it's
know.
2024. I want my flying car, and I don't want to have to be bothered with cooking, shopping, and freaking eating food. I'm like over it. I'm so over it. Anyways, all right. So BCAAs do have proven benefits for the body. And I want to go through those before we say, like, okay, but let's talk about levels here, right? We know that BCAAs do increase muscle growth, because there's a BCAA, it's leucine, that activates a certain pathway in your body that stimulates muscle protein synthesis. That's basically how you make muscle. So you need other amino acids though to do this maximally. So just taking in BCAAs alone and thinking that that's going to enhance muscle growth all by itself, it's part of a larger system. So although people do credit BCAAs with muscle growth, it's not them alone, right? I just want to make that kind of clear.
It's part of a larger system.
Oh my God. It's like the story of the podcast. It's not just one thing, it's many things.
That's why we can't take a simple question, because everything is part of a larger system. And we do this with nutrition a lot, which is why I think like a lot of these need their own episode, because we can take parts of nutrition that have really good benefits and say like, oh, okay, we'll just overload this. Number one, overloading anything is never a good idea,
Nope.
because it's all part of other systems. So either, yeah, you can take in so much protein, but if you're not taking in other forms of nutrients that are able to break down that protein, essentially it's useless. So it's not what you consume, it's what you can absorb. And that is really the key in all of this, which is why gut health is had such a
King.
such
It's
a such
king.
a rise to the top when everyone realized like we're dumping a bunch of these things in our bodies, but like why aren't we reaching like maximum human potential, maximum muscle growth? And because we're looking at so many different things within a vacuum and realizing like you can't absorb this without this, we can't dump a bunch of BCAs into our body without being able to break it down. Like we're not just going to dump them in and it translates to muscle growth. That's not how it works. So we're going to make it simple though. But I want you guys listening to know that how we got to this conclusion is a complicated process, but we
Well,
are going to
but that's what the people want though,
yeah.
right? That's what the people want, because here's another question that actually got a lot of engagement in the group as well, is just like, how do you separate when someone's just trying to sell you something
Yeah.
and when something has actual health benefits? And like,
Okay.
yes, super burning question. How do you know if it's, and BCAAs are no different. They do have benefits, but we need to look at them in the whole scope of you, your nutrition, your body, your needs. Like, there's never going to be one thing that you can buy that equals health.
Yeah.
So yes, they are a big part of muscle growth. Yes, they are a part of decreasing muscle soreness, right? After we call this DOMS. They have been shown to decrease muscle damage, which kind of limits the severity or lessens the time that you have muscle soreness after a workout. And they also reduce exercise fatigue. Now, this one is one I want to stop on for a second, because if you use, okay, so your muscles during exercise are going to use BCAAs. They're going to use them to assist and aid in your workout. And that means that the levels of BCAAs in your blood are going to decrease, right? Because they're using them up. When those levels decline, your body responds with an essential amino acid called tryptophan. We know tryptophan because Thanksgiving.
Because
most of the
Thanksgiving. Yeah.
amino acids you don't typically know their name of them, right? But when someone says tryptophan, you know what that is, right? It's the tired one. You eat turkey, tryptophan, then you get tired. So one of the main things when BCAAs get those three get decreased in your body is that you get the feeling of tired, of fatigue from tryptophan. Now, people are like, oh, eliminate that, right? Like, take as many BCAAs so we don't have any tryptophan, not looking at the whole entire picture, which the whole entire picture is that tryptophan is one of the only precursors to your body creating serotonin. And serotonin is also one of the hormones that we know kind of off the top of our head because it equals happy.
In the
So,
mental world, people, anyone who has um dabbled in any type of like looking at their mental health, no serotonin. Just like
right.
everyone who eats turkey knows tryptophan.
Tryptophan turkey, tired, serotonin happy. So yes, in a vacuum, if you take those BCAAs, you will limit your amount of fatigue from tryptophan, but you will also limit the precursor to creating the happiness hormone, which is serotonin. So we need to be very careful because, yes, we want to reduce fatigue in workouts, sure, to get our maximum potential, but we certainly do not want to decrease serotonin levels
Production, yeah.
and throw our brain chemistry out of balance, because that can be very detrimental to your mental health.
Yeah. Um, I think that's a great point, and just one that we're pointing out when we associate a singular feeling with some of these. It could be amino acids, it could be other things your body is producing. But when it comes to looking at specifically tryptophan, and we're saying like, oh, this tired, don't want that, eliminate it. Whoa, a lot of things that we're intaking that our body is doing is helpful in many different ways, and they all balance out. So when we just look at it in this vacuum sense of, well, I don't want to be tired anymore, what, I don't need that, let's just eliminate it. You know what else makes you tired? Being sad.
You know
Like,
what happened to they took this into a study with mice, and they separated the mice into group, and the group that had 2 times the recommended amount of BCAAs every day actually ended up this like blew my mind. Actually ended up becoming obese
more inactive,
because
yeah.
serotonin is also a very key component in appetite.
Hmm.
So it like controls a lot of your responses of feeling hungry and when you feel hungry and how hungry you feel.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
And they found that the mice that got 2 times the amount of BCAAs ended up being obese and dying earlier, which is just like we thought we were giving like tons of an awesome amino acid chain that was just going to like boost your performance, and it ended up killing them earlier than the mice who didn't have even enough BCAAs. So like that's just, I mean, it's just something to think about.
Food for thought, if you will.
Food for thought. Too much of a good thing is never a good thing.
I mean, that's, hey, life. That's just always how it works. We, you can't have triumph without suffering. Like, you can't have happiness without sad. Like, your body works in the same way. And I know that we just want to think that we're just going to we hone in on some things that might just be beneficial, and we're going to pump our bodies with them, and then we will be more beneficial. Like, we will have like more muscle growth, we'll have less fatigue, we'll have better workouts, we'll have, less soreness. And it's just, that's not how it works.
If you're thinking about supplementing BCAAs, here's my top piece of advice. If you have enough protein in your daily diet, you are getting enough BCAAs already. And people, I don't think they understand this. They think it's like protein or BCAAs. Like it's
Yeah.
like those are two separate things, but really they're not.
No, they're not. The reason why, so that's a really important point though. The reason why BCAs have had such a rise to the top is because the supplement game has had such a rise to the top, but because specifically in the American diet, but in the human diet, we have had a decrease overall in our protein intake, but not a decrease in our protein needs. So the problem when it comes to supplementation is that we immediately look at what supplements we can add in that's going to maximize, our recovery, what's going to maximize our body's performance, basically, without looking at what is our baseline and how can I meet that nutritionally in my daily life that could be more beneficial than adding some type of supplementation that you may or may not need. You can't just add, so your glass is already full, right? So say that you're meeting your protein intake, and then you just keep, that's your water, and then you just keep adding on top of it. That's not more. More is not more,
More is
right?
not more. And that's when we start getting imbalanced in the ways of like, how are your serotonin levels being affected here? Like, how is your appetite being affected here? Like, that's when you start getting into those things. So you're so right. We got to check our baseline before we start supplementing.
Yeah.
And there are so many ways to get in BCAAs nutritionally that are far, far superior than just like dumping a bunch on top in a shake. People don't understand this. Ground beef has 4.5 grams of BCAAs. Chicken breast has 5.5 grams.
I mean,
Tuna
depending
has,
on, how
yeah,
much
like
you're eating.
obviously,
Yeah.
yeah. About we're talking about like you take a typical amount, a serving size of these things. Tuna, salmon, eggs, Greek yogurt. There are So these are ways that people think of traditionally to get their protein. Oh, okay, I got my protein. I got to have my eggs. I got to have my chicken breast. I got to have my tuna. Those are also the ways you're getting your BCAAs most effectively.
Hmm. Yeah, and that's in the best way. I just wanted to add a couple that were not animal based, just for some. If you're thinking like, oh, but I don't eat any animal products. How am I supposed to meet that? You can still totally do it, just like how you do in every other aspect of your diet. So you guys are probably more experts on these, but I'll tell you a couple that are high: soya beans, hemp seeds, mung beans, lentils, oats. These will also give you the aminos that you need without, if you're not specifically a animal product eating person.
So, should you supplement them? No, not before you take a long, hard look at the way that you're getting protein in your normal everyday diet.
Listen,
And
we got to say this till the cows come home. You should never look at supplementing anything unless you look at what your baseline is. You don't know what you need to supplement. Like,
bam,
you don't know. We
bam.
have to figure out what the baseline is for what your primary nutrients are, what your diet looks like before you adding things that you don't even know if you need.
And not only that, but if you're not meeting your basic protein intake goals. Like, this is something that I know. Try your best not to jump right to a shake. Try to first explore food options, because absorption, just all the other things, right? I can jump to a shake and I can get protein and BCAAs, but I'm missing a whole nother piece of all the nutritional minerals, vitamins that I could be getting if I had eaten an egg instead.
Yeah.
So just kind of think of this as not a vacuum. I don't need this one thing, right? I need all the things. But yes, if you're going to perform, if you're looking to build muscle, these protein is a very important aspect of that. And just try to look to food. Bless you so much.
Thank you. Sorry, I did mute so the people won't actually hear that.
Why was it a wet one?
No, I didn't want it to interrupt your train of thought.
Oh,
Um, I will say this though: the easiest way, if you're looking at your diet, and none of looking at your diet is all like easy, but I will say the easiest way that you can look at your diet, and if you've decided like I don't get enough protein, I'm lacking in, some key essential nutrients. What I would really look to do is adjust one meal. Add in, so figure out a way, like throughout your say, like, oh, okay, overall throughout my day, I don't get in more protein. If you just say, I'm going to get in more protein throughout the day, it's kind of like, well,
well,
how?
how?
Yeah, like what specifically?
Where?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And that can be really challenging. But if you look at one meal and you say, like, okay, I always go to breakfast. I have the most control over breakfast. It's the first thing that happens in the day. It's the least likely to have any alterations throughout the day. So I typically look to breakfast and say, like, what is a protein or a veggie source for me? Like fiber that I can get in the morning, that I could add daily, that would really change the trajectory of your day. It doesn't have to be breakfast. But I know that's where a lot of people are missing. They're like, well, my lunch is good, my dinner is good, like I'm still not getting my protein intake. But like, it's like you don't start eating until 2.
Mm.
Like, and don't get me wrong, I know we've all been there and your day gets busy, but habits are everything. And if you can look at just adjusting one meal, you'll be amazed at the nutritional needs that you can adjust and meet just by adjusting that one.
We're interrupting this podcast to tell you about the coolest leggings that have ever been on the planet ever. And if you are going to try to crush this new year, you need them. Why are you laughing?
You
You need
sounded like that kid. Have you ever had a dream where
'em.
have you ever tried the best leggings and then they are sweat proof?
No, it's so true. Sweat proof, squat proof. They are so freaking comfortable and they have pockets. If you're listening to this podcast and you're not currently wearing our leggings, I gotta tell you, you are missing the boat, sis.
You're missing the boat. And the thing is, most people don't know as they start to get new leggings that not all leggings are created equal.
Ooh,
And you don't know that your leggings are see-through until you've been wearing them for a month at the gym and someone gets up the courage to tell you that they've been seeing through. Our leggings never see through, completely squat proof, sweat proof, and they stay up while you're working out. So grab a pair for this new year at constantlyvariedgear.com.
it's so true. That's a really good point. Um, okay, our hopefully that has
She's
helped you
like, did
decide.
you answer my question?
No, no, you don't need to supplement BCAAs. Just eat more protein. Could have said it like that, but then you wouldn't have had all the reasons. Like I
Yeah.
like to provide my evidence. I don't
Also,
want to just
I
like
really love, I love to bake in mental health in every place that we can, but it's not just me baking in mental health. It's the fact that
your
it's
body's
baked in there
sorry,
no
your body's
matter,
doing it.
yeah, like no matter what. And if we continue to separate those conversations and wonder why, our body's at our peak physical health, but we're still struggling with a lot of things like maybe, your serotonin production, and you're struggling with things like depression, anxiety, and it's like, well, what could be some contributing factors here that might even just look at like, why is there such a difference between my physical health and my mental health?
If I dropped this shake every day, could I improve my serotonin levels? Like that's a real question
It's a real
to
question.
ask yourself. Um, all right, so we got a bunch of CVG based questions. We got a ton of like to inside the company, behind the scenes, what's all happening, what's the new stuff, what's coming out.
What are you guys even doing back there?
Are you guys even what the hell? Why do you keep making things I have to buy time after time? We got a lot of inside CVG kind of questions. And so we kind of took two and we're gonna try to give you, a BTS a little bit of what we actually do every day besides just sit here, shoot the
Come on the
shit.
podcast and chat it up. We do other things.
We do. It's hard to believe, but we actually have jobs that are really fun, actually.
Yeah.
Okay, so Emily Oliver asked for an inside the company. How do we decide on prints? How does everything work? How do you overcome the fear of failure that can come with growth? I thought that was an excellent question.
Yeah.
And then in our app, Bone Lady,
We
hey Bone
said
Lady,
we said, hey, bone lady, before we
Bone Lady.
started at least 10 times. I was like,
At
we're stimming up
least.
of her name.
I think she's a doctor or I think she does transplants. I
Nah,
forget, but
she's a
that
bone cracker.
she's a bone. Was wondering how far ahead do we pick and plan prints before we actually release them? So
Before they get
we'll
into
try
your
to.
hot hands.
Oh my God, yeah, hot hands. They grabby hands. So we're gonna try to give you a little rundown of, an inside the CVG, behind the doors, behind the curtains, and definitely talk about fear of failure because it is a huge theme in the company and how we've dealt with it.
Yeah, great questions. So peeling back the curtain a little bit for the first part of that question is how you decide on prints. So this changes so often, that it becomes, a difficult question to answer, because it changes fairly often, as you can see by the number of prints that we come out with in a year or in a release, and throughout the year. But I do want to say a lot of our decisions and a lot of our inspiration comes from you guys. If you're in our group or our app, we ask you what things you want to see in the future. I know, if you think back, sometimes you guys don't see it right away. But if you see it in 6 months, which we'll kind of get to planning and picking, but, we asked you about some of like the favorite animals that you wanted to see, or, that spoke to you. We ask things in very different ways. And a lot of people had come out with bumblebees, and, that had been inspired in one of our prints. We had a sloths release. A lot of people had said, what sloths were to them. people have shown their tattoos in our group in our app, and that has inspired some tattoo releases in the past. So really a ton of our inspiration comes from you guys. You're saying things all the time. You're always coming up with ideas, and we've got, our ears to the ground listening to what you guys are talking about.
Absolutely. I mean, I guess it's hard to describe the creative process because like that's kind of what makes it the creative process.
Yes. Yeah.
It's not an easy thing to like describe and replicate or like make a systems and processes list. First you get
Yeah.
inspired. Like how do you but I just want to say that such a major factor in the longevity and success of CVG is because we have such an incredible community. And sometimes they're a little demanding, but I love that about you guys because when you want to wear something, you will not stop telling me. And I love that because I want essentially to design clothes that are meaningful and are special when you wear them. I think that that is such a huge theme for us at CBG is that we you in order to feel amazing in your clothes, they have to kind of mean something. And that's why we are so keen on listening to you guys, asking you guys, getting inspiration from the artwork on your body.
Yeah.
um, because that's the things you love and that's what's going to make you feel queen, top of the top when you wear it. And that's our whole entire mission is to get you in something that you feel unstoppable in. And that's why we are so ears to the ground with our community and so close to them is because you are our inspiration for everything we do.
Yeah. I remember, there was this, I think it was for the lotus. A lot of women we had asked to see tattoos, and a lot of women had said, like, this lotus means this to me because of, someone I know and love and past. And then we ended up making lotus leggings based on, all of that, all that we saw from some of those feedback. So it's just, it is very interesting because the creative process is a wild ride. But you guys don't know how much of a part of that you are. And I know, like, if you've been around for a while, you guys have kind of seen um, how different team members too have contributed to some ideas that we've come up with, or some themes that have happened over the years. I know everyone I had talked about, the patterns that I chose for my Wadapalooza team to just go for us, and you guys loved them so much we had to make them in bulk. So I know you wanted to hear that there was some dark room somewhere. I don't know why it's a dark room, because of the lighting, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That
It's
there is
very dim. It's very
yeah.
secretive. There's like 19 codes to
Yeah,
get
to get
in.
in, where it's
Yeah.
like we keep this
Thumbprints, eye scans.
yeah, where like they all are. But that's not the case. But I will tell you this, there is a ton of patterns that have not been made or have been adjusted and put on a rack, and that we keep coming back to over the years, or who might never be made, might be made in the future. They're always like hanging around, which is why we're so strategic about how we show our behind the scenes, because sometimes we're like, oh, that rack can't be back there. So it's definitely like a peek behind that. If there's not a lab with a bunch of like people saying like, what's the hit color of this season? It's not like that, but it is more of a mad sciencey. There is a bunch of leggings somewhere that
They're in my
have not
house.
being made. They're
They're
they're scattered. They're scattered in a
That's
couple
true.
different
No,
places.
I'm just thinking of an entire room
Rachel
of my
just
house that is dedicated to just racks and racks and racks of leggings that we have either not made the cut or not right now, or we want some things changed or
adjustment.
adjusted, or we're
Yeah.
going to ask the community for feedback. Sometimes we have posts in the app where they self-destruct, where we're like, do you like this? And then this will
Yeah.
self-destruct in 15 minutes.
Mhm.
Because we're always just like sort of looking to you guys. But yeah, we've got a lot. we've
We've
got a
got a
lot
lot.
in the wings, and maybe some of them will come to life, and maybe some of them won't. But I think that if anyone ever, like we said, like why we can't just let them loose in the warehouse is just like
Yeah.
you'd have a lot of one of the kind CBG leggings.
Which actually have, if you've ordered from us, you might have gotten some of those one of a kind leggings because we've snuck them into orders,
Yes, we have,
where it's just like, this
which is
is
so
the
fun.
only one that's ever been made, and here you go, Janine. Like,
Yeah.
which has been really fun. So like that look behind the scenes is really organic, like that, where like you think like, did they just throw an unreleased pattern? Yes.
Yes.
How was that decision made? I think that should go to her.
I think she would love
I think
this.
she
I
would
say this
really
all
love
the
it.
time. I've said
Yeah.
this about multiple, of our customers, just who are now our friends, and
Yeah.
I just said like I think she would love this.
Well, we have an
And
upcoming release that Katie, I don't know, you got a lot of people in the community might know. She goes, her Instagram handle is like mermaid something. We had, an ocean theme release, and I was like, send it all to her. She
yeah,
deserves this.
it was inspired by her. Yeah, this
Yeah.
mermaid lifts. So oh my she's like, oh my god, I just looked my Instagram. So as far as how far ahead we are,
We're always working to get better.
we're always working to get better, but I will say, I think I kind of let people into this a little bit when in the app and Facebook group when I posted that we were working on shackets for the fall, and colors. We're significantly, we work in the future for sure, which is sometimes difficult because, like, it's it's hard to like create these like ultimate warmth. What is going to be the warmest, most softest, most coziest thing in the middle of July? So that sometimes is a challenge, but um, that is one good thing about not being so like, oh, the trend in the fall is going to be mauves, because we are really working with what our customers want and love, and those don't really change via the season. It's not like something that's gonna go out of style. So working in advance is tough, but it's definitely something that you kind of have to do.
Well, here's the thing that I've always said with that is we don't follow trends, we make them. So whatever is happening out there in some weird fashion show, I've never been particularly inspired by those trash bags.
This season, it's potato sacks or
Like,
nothing.
you know what I'm talking about. Like, this has totally happened, and I'm like, no, we can create trends and not follow them. Getting more ahead has been a learning curve for us, in specifically in the past couple of years. It's been one that has been challenging for us for sure, because the more we've grown, and the more we've needed to get ahead, but it's definitely been a little bit more challenging from like, oh, I think we should make this. Like,
It's
whereas
also a
where
very small
we
team. I don't know,
yeah.
people like think there's like 10 people coming to a table. It's Kelsey, me, and Mark. And
Yeah.
then we take once we decide that like something is sort of going to make the cut, or we think it's good enough to get to the next level, we literally walk around the warehouse going, do you like this? Do you like this?
Sometimes
Isley, do you
Rachel,
like this?
yeah.
Lauren, do you like this? Like I mean, our employees are our customers, and
Yeah.
we want to know first if they love something, then it's getting made.
I just think like, and you guys might want to see behind the scenes of this, but it's hard. Like, Rachel and I will put on two different leggings that might be in a release. It might be, we've got 5 patterns for this release. We've got to narrow it down to 3. We love 5, but we've got to narrow it down to 3.
That's the
And
worst.
right, and Rachel and I will put on, one. She'll put on one, I'll put on the other, and we'll literally go to people's desks and ask them to vote, and we'll tally it up at the end, because like it's got to be cutthroat around here. Or like, someone will throw down for a pattern that they won't miss. Trash Panda.
Oh my
Someone will
God.
throw down for that, and then you're just like, wow, you're good.
You're so passionate about
Yeah,
this. All right. Okay.
fine,
We're
fine.
doing it for you. I know we've done that multiple times. And, sometimes it's hard. It's like we'll
To
be at the
narrow it
last
down.
desk
Yeah.
and we'll be like, hey, Jill. And they
Four to
know when
five.
we,
Yeah.
when we show up at their desk with two different leggings on, they know.
Yeah.
And so they're like, they'll ask like, what stop am I? So we'll be like, hey, Jill. And she'll be like, what stop am I? Like, you're the last stop. It's like,
Yeah.
oh my God, because you
The
could be like
pressure's on.
the tie-breaking vote. But no, literally, that's how things get decided because it's not this giant fashion team. It's Kelsey, me, and Mark going off of what you guys need and then asking our employees what they love because essentially they are our customers. And so it's so based on, you guys.
Yeah.
And how do we overcome the fear of failure to round out this question? As we've grown, how do we not just get so paralyzed by what if this doesn't work?
Yeah. So one of the things as I was thinking about the fear of failure, and how what a great question, Emily, that is. And I just want to say in all transparency that there definitely have been moments of being paralyzed by the growth and by how quickly we've grown, and then just feeling really nervous to like choose something that you really love. When we were smaller, it was like, let's try pineapples. And then like, feeling a little bit more nervous. But every time, you get that feeling of feeling nervous, or what if this doesn't work, you remember that the only way you got here was being able to push through that. And if you don't continue to go about that in, like, I want to say fear, in a fearless way, because that's kind of how I talk to myself, but I know that fear is there.
There's no such thing as fearless.
I'm not fearless.
No.
It's there. I've just decided that's not going to stop me. So part of that really comes to this decision that, like, when you sit there and you feel that fear, or you feel that pressure, or you feel like, just that like overwhelming, like, uh-oh, did this get too big? um, that decision that you're only here because you put yourself here, because you made decisions to get you to this point and continue to make those decisions, you know, w- without fear, despite the fear, working through the fear and acknowledging that it's there.
Absolutely. I mean, there's so much imposter syndrome that
Yeah.
creeps up when you reach any level of success in anything. Like, how did I get here? I don't belong here. I don't deserve this. I don't have the skills to back this up. And the bigger it gets, the more those feelings sort of creep and get louder and louder and louder.
Yeah. The
Well, what
doubt
if they
sisters.
don't? Yeah, the doubt sister. I mean, I've had patterns that I've absolutely loved, went to
Yeah.
complete bat for, and just was like, this is so good and so important to me, and have not done well.
I was thinking of love. What was
Oh,
it?
love thyself.
Love thyself.
I sat in a meeting
You went to bat for that.
and
Yeah.
I was like, guys, it's a must. I need it. I love this. This is it speaks me. And everyone was like, we don't love it. And I was like, please, I need this one. And we did it. And it was not a good seller.
I want to say, though, as the supreme optimist of the group,
Here we go.
this is how I will
Spin
always
it to
say.
how I won. I love this about you.
You did win. You did win.
It was a fail.
Because you know what? That was it, in that isolated incident, it could be a failure. But it opened up the doors to creating what's that called? Valentine's Day
Mhm.
releases for the upcoming years that have been some of the most successful releases. It opened up doors. And the thing is about failure, I just want everyone to know, when you think that you failed at something, but you kicked open a door, you're looking at the next thing. You don't get stuck there, because that failure is ultimately going to lead to a success. You don't get success without failure. So if you continue to go around and count your failures and think about them as just that instead of the opportunities that there were to grow, because you learn from everyone, you open up the doors to thinking about, specific themed releases, which has been imperative to everything that we've done. If you guys have been around for our St. Patrick's Day release, it was amazing. And we've had to slowly push the envelope for what we wanted, what we thought was possible. I remember last year I really wanted a kind of crazy fun St. Patrick's Day release, but we had never done one before, so we kind of played it safe. And this year I got my Lucky Charms and I was so excited. I hope this does well though, because I really, really wanted this. And it just built on it. You guys ended up loving it, and we've really leaned into some of those kind of themed things that have been really fun for your fun runs, for your Spartan races, or just for wearing around those holidays, because holidays are fun.
It's it's one of those things, it's so hard to sort of push this every single day, but
Yeah.
I have had to say, I welcome fear. I welcome fear. I welcome obstacles. I welcome failure. And welcoming failure is a hard thing for me. But over the years, I have just decided that it is the only way to accomplishing anything worth accomplishing. You have to fail. You have to, it's, if you are not failing, you are not even scratching the surface of what is possible.
Exactly.
So I have, in that sense, just started to welcome failure and say, bring it on, because I know that if I'm failing, I'm coming closer to what is the true potential of what I can do, what we can do as a company, what we all, our human potential. So bring it on.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's hard. I don't do that every day, guys. I don't do that every day. But
No, but
my overall mantra is
yeah.
come on, failure. I'm going to look at you right in the face. I'm going to see you again for the 100 millionth time in my life. I'm going to
But you
learn, and
get
then I'm going to do better.
so much more comfortable with it though.
It's true.
It's one
It's
of
true.
those things that's like, oh, failure never gets easier. Like, what?
No, it
I don't think
does.
it does.
Yeah,
Like,
actually it does. It's a
I think
practice learned behavior. It's
yeah.
the more I fail, the more I'm realizing that it was never the end of the world that I put it
Yeah.
up to be in the
Yeah.
beginning.
That it was going to be part of the success. Like
It,
it
it was
is. It
necessary.
is the success. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So hopefully, again, all the behind the scenes CVG things, we got a really lot of questions like that. We got a really lot of love on it. Maybe it might be something to expand on in a future episode if you guys are, have more questions about the people behind your orders and stuff like that. Because obviously, as we've said, this is like a family company. The our first employee is still with us, our first ever employee that worked in my literal spare bedroom. The best man at our wedding works at the company. It's that kind of thing. But maybe we expand more on that in the future. But hopefully, that's given you a little bit of a look behind the curtain and some of the things you were wondering. And our last question for today is a fitness question from RTK Rose 3 in our app. 3, not 2. RTK Rose 3. Who is wondering, what are the best exercises to tighten loose skin on the stomach area? Girl, you and everybody else. We're always out for this question. How do we tighten loose skin?
So I know a lot of women particularly anyone who's experienced a significant amount of weight loss or pregnancy,
Pregnancy.
obviously,
Mm-hmm.
is one of those heavy hitters when it comes to loose skin. And one of the just number one things that I have to talk to you about loose skin when we talk about it is that you cannot spot train loose skin away. I think that initially we think like, I'm going to do a bunch of core exercises and this loose skin is going to regain its elasticity. That's not how that works. So loose skin, essentially is a loss of collagen and elasticity in the skin. And when any kind of adjustments are made within the skin, this can happen. So when we think about how we can kind of repair some of that damage, I want to be clear about the exercises that won't do it. But we can look at some of the vitamins, and essentially, when we're thinking about the loss of collagen, how we might add some collagen into our bodies in order to help that repair.
Yeah, it's really hard because
It's a hard one.
it's we can't spot train it, right? The same thing as we can't spot train a muscle. We can't spot train skin. And the reason why I'm saying this is really hard because I know it's a huge confidence killer for a lot of women. A lot of women who have worked really, really hard to have a significant amount of weight loss. A lot of women who've brought children into this world, who they have done these incredible things, and it's really hard to look and see the fruits of your labor in a way that society has deemed less than ideal, right? Because essentially, we could reframe that and say, when I look in the mirror and I see my loose skin, I see a whole bunch of accomplishments. I see
Mhm.
my child that is so incredibly beautiful and that I literally created. I see all of the hard work and tenacity and grit that went into getting to the gym every day and having this healthier lifestyle where I can move better and I will live longer because I am carrying less body fat. Um, Looking at that in the mirror every day and having it be a reminder of the pride that goes along with that. That would be my that's what I want for the world, right? But I
Yeah,
know that that's not it. I know that sometimes it you look down and go like,
yeah,
fuck.
for sure. And
And
that's
that's
real.
why it's really hard.
Yeah. And it's real. You have to honor that too.
You do have to honor the struggle, and you have to also honor the fact that this is a societal view and not necessarily because, like, we've seen a bunch of times people call stretch marks like tiger, what do they call, tiger stripes, like that just means you're a freaking animal, that you've accomplished something incredible. And it's all about reframing, but I know it's hard. And I do want to say, with any skin elasticity issue, I would highly recommend resistance training and weight training and strengthening,
Yeah.
only because it's not going to change the way that the skin looks, its elasticity. But if you can fill it, right? Think of it like a balloon. If you can fill the space with muscle, it will lessen the appearance of the stretching and the sagging, right? And I know that this is kind of tough in the midsection because those muscles are very small. It's like
Mhm.
if you wanted to do that in your quad, it's way easier because it's a giant muscle and it
I'm
has a
gonna fill
lot of
that up.
potential, right? It has a
Yeah.
lot of potential for growth. So you could really
Mhm.
fill that up, right? Not so much on those six tinies in the front. So that's why I think a lot of people are like looking at belly fat, or sorry, belly, loose skin in their belly, and just saying like, I don't know the answer for this. I can't seem to. There's nothing that I do. I have a really strong core, but I do want to just say like, yes, building the muscle or in your core will help. Doing planks, like doing these like functional exercises, is always going to help fill that space, but
Well,
it's
I
not
do
going
want
to
to
change the
say
skin.
too, if you are somewhere in that weight loss journey or postpartum, and you're worried about, what excess skin will look like at the end of that journey, if you start weight training now, you're in a really good spot. That's where you want to start. A lot of people tend to, if they lose a lot of body fat very quickly, that's when it kind of happens. And when we don't gain any muscle underneath, that makes that process even faster and just more like of a shocker to the skin. Okay, so like when we're looking at a body comp, like reconstruction, essentially, like if you're weight training at the beginning of that, your odds are going to be so much better to not come out the other end with some of the, deflated skin that, you don't want, that you
Tell everyone.
essentially tell
Tell everyone.
everyone. Tell
Don't
everyone.
diet and cardio your way into
No,
this.
I know.
Don't do it that way.
Yeah,
Please. This is so essential. You must weight train your way into weight loss in order to maintain some of that skin integrity that you're looking for. It's so true. So although there's not much growth muscle wise or spot training that we can do,
for
I
the
would
skin.
like to say
Mhm.
for your skin. It does things for everything else.
Yeah,
But if you're
yeah.
talking specifically about loose skin, a couple of the most important things that you can focus on is good skin is always hydrated skin. The
Yes.
more dehydrated you are, the more crepey your skin looks, the more wrinkly your skin looks. So really, really focus on your hydration. Um,
The less elasticity it has.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, vitamin C and E and antioxidants that you're taking in your diet have been shown to increase collagen production in your skin. So, definitely look nutritionally at how you can add some essential vitamins and minerals, those specifically antioxidants. Those are going to help just the overall conditioning of your skin. Um, and obviously, there's some goops.
Some
There's
goops.
some goops. You can, we put a lot of goop on our face to try to get more collagen production, maintain elasticity. um, Hydrolonic acid, retinoids, these are all things that kind of do have some, they can help with some of the finer lines and wrinkles and obviously skin hydration. um, but as anybody knows who spends a lot of money on skincare products, you can see some change, but it only is going to go so far. Um, so I wouldn't expect like earth shattering
It's
results.
definitely not overnight too. Some of those take a significant amount of time um, to work. And if you're pairing that with some with making sure like nutritionally you're getting what you need to maintain that. And that's just kind of why I wanted to touch on just for a second when we do like weight loss surgeries or when we do something. And that's where we see a lot of the people have a lot of problems at the end of that with some loose skin. And it, for a couple reasons, the significant amount of weight loss within a short period of time is difficult with that. But a lot of that reason is because nutritionally, and everyone who has experienced like getting the gastric band, you're not nutritionally getting what you need, which is why a lot of people's hair fall out. They become deficient,
Lethargic.
yeah,
Hmm.
lethargic. And when you think about some of those symptoms, you have to also think about what that's doing to your skin. Your skin is one of the first things to go. If your body's not getting nutritionally what it needs, it takes from other places that it doesn't find as important. And unfortunately, no, fortunately, actually, because you need to survive, your body doesn't think that the
Don't take it from
aesthetics
the liver.
is one of the most important things. So, when it comes to things that we'll take from, it will be like, well, do you need some glow in your skin? No, you don't. You need you need to have brain function today. You know what I mean? So like some of the aesthetic things that go along with that is not the body's primary function when it comes to meeting nutritional needs. So you have to think about that when you're thinking about looking at the goops, the all of the ways that you'll spend taking care of your skin on the outside. Make sure you're initially taking care of your skin from the inside out.
Yeah, I mean, all of the things that we already know about skin health,
Yeah.
hydration, retinoids, the like collagen, whether it's being, you're taking it in supplement form or you are, like trying to stimulate more growth on your skin through topical treatments, like whatever works there is going to also work on your belly. There's no difference between, necessarily that skin integrity. Um, there are also other non-surgical options. There's sort of like new things in ultrasound treatments, radio frequency treatments. Like there's things that you can do with varying levels of success. Obviously, some of them can become very expensive, but I get it. I get it. I know that it's
New ways
frustrating.
to produce collagen through
Yep.
some of those new technologies that, like, if you haven't looked into it in a while, you might benefit from that if that is part of your goals.
Yeah, they've come a really long way.
Yeah.
Definitely, there are so many more non-surgical options than there ever have been. So I would, if it's really a thing,
Yeah.
I would definitely look into that. But I would also remember that that's your story. I know that it's not sometimes aesthetically what you want to see. But I would caution anybody, who thinks that the minute that this would go away, that's where the confidence would come. And then they would finally be able to be, happy and bikini ready and all of these things. Like, I have no doubt in my mind that, some of these treatments, if they help our bellies to sort of look better aesthetically, that will, that can help some of your feelings about your body. But ultimately, that's something that you have to heal without any aesthetics before it's ever going to stick. So, that is not the key to your finally being confident or you're finally being happy. I get it, it's hard, but also you got to love yourself first. And then the topical stuff, if it's still there and you still want it and it's still very important, absolutely, but just start in that baseline again with, like, I love my body, I appreciate my body, I know that this is part of my story, and I'm proud of my
Mhm.
body,
Yeah.
and then we can work from there.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's a great start. And there are some, when you bet you didn't know we were going to talk about nutrition when it came to your skin health, or maybe you did, but what a significant. But I get it, guys. Like honestly, like I get it. Like you did, if you had a tremendous weight loss journey, and you feel proud of what you have accomplished, and you want to be able to see it more. I totally get it, and why people really want to solve this issue for themselves, because they're just like, I worked so goddamn hard to get here. I want to be able to see the fruits of my labor. Um, so
And
I
you
get it.
do deserve that.
You do. Yeah,
You do.
for sure.
So, you know what? If any of these, I mean, I'm sorry we couldn't give any exercises because it doesn't work like that.
Yeah,
Yes, you should continue to train a strong core for the health and longevity of your body. And yes, it will fill out a little bit of that
for
skin.
sure. Yeah,
Muscles always will. But there aren't any specific things that you can do, but look into some of these things. If this is
yeah,
really bothering you, look into some of the radio frequency treatments, some of the ultrasound treatments. They've come a long way, and because you do deserve to live in a body that speaks of all of the accomplishments that you've had.
for sure. All right, we answered a bunch of questions, guys. Hopefully, we intended to do rapid fire here, but there's some of these questions. Imagine if we
Ah,
deep dove into into body dysmorphia.
I don't rapid fire well.
But hopefully you enjoyed this. If you'd like us to answer some of your questions in the future, we're working on different ways for you to be able to do that. And because we want to hear from you, we do hear from you, but we also kind of want you guys to hear from each other, which is really important part of our community, and the forum that we like to create to be able to hear your voices. So we're going to do this again in the future. Hopefully this was helpful for now, and we love you guys.
Love you.